So Haason Reddick has just requested a trade from the New York Jets. What does it mean for the Arizona Cardinals? Let's talk about it. I've seen a lot of chitter-chatter about the Haason Reddick thing. On the radio show I'm on in the morning, we had a debate about it. The Drive with Jody Ayler, 6 to 10 here in Phoenix, Arizona. And as I've talked and thought about the Haason Reddick thing, it just feels like a no-brainer for the Arizona Cardinals. I am not one of those people that is unrealistic. I'm very rational, and I've always thought ahead of what is the best version of this team. I will always use that phrase. With any of the two teams I cover here in Phoenix, I will always use it with what is the best version of blank team a year from now. Haason Reddick just fits the Arizona Cardinals. Haason Reddick should be an Arizona Cardinal. And I believe it would be a disservice for Monty Ossenfort not to check in on that situation and wonder what they could get for the former Arizona Cardinal and now New York Jet. The guy has had 5 straight seasons of consistent double-digit sack years. And what did we see in free agency for the Arizona Cardinals? They went significantly after guys that are productive, maybe don't have a huge name, but are productive and stay healthy. Go and check Haason Reddick's injury history. He has missed 1 game since he's entered the league in, I believe, 2015, 2016. 1 game Haason Reddick has missed. Well, that's just one thing. Haason Reddick was also coached under Jonathan Gannon, in which he had an amazing year with the Philadelphia Eagles. He knows Jonathan Gannon's scheme. Jonathan Gannon knows Haason Reddick. It's a perfect match for Haason Reddick to be an Arizona Cardinal. The Cardinals have to at least make the phone call. Now listen, there's a caveat to everything. I'm not just being insane. And as a fanboy, whatever you are, cover the Arizona Cardinals and you're watching this video, or you're just a fan, there is a cost of doing business. Now, the Jets gave up a 3rd-round pick that can become a 2nd-round pick if he plays 65% of his snaps, I believe, and he has double-digit sacks, which means he's got to stay healthy and he's got to stay pretty productive for it to be a 2nd-round pick. Well, that probably won't be the case, especially if they trade him. So, if the Arizona Cardinals can just flip a 3rd-round pick back to the New York Jets, exactly what they gave up for Haason Reddick, it is a match made in heaven for the Arizona Cardinals and Haason Reddick. Haason Reddick has already been here before. He's familiar with the place. He's played here before. He's familiar being in Arizona. He played under Jonathan Gannon, had double-digit sacks, was very productive, and we saw what the Arizona Cardinals did in free agency. They've got to be productive. They only go after players that are productive and don't get injured. Haason Reddick, 1 game missed. 1 game in however long he's been in the league. That's how healthy Haason Reddick has been. It just makes too much sense. And with the loss of B.J. Ojulari in training camp tearing his ACL, you have more of a need than ever for the Arizona Cardinals to make a move with Haason Reddick. As bullish as I've been on the Cardinals' defensive backs, as bullish as I've been on Garrett Williams, as bullish as I've been on Max Melton, on whoever it is, insert cornerback here, as invested as I've been in guys like Sean Murphy-Bunting, Max Melton, or Garrett Williams, you could put any sets of cornerbacks and safeties back there. It is just hard to cover wide receivers in the NFL. And if you have a horrible, horrendous, disastrous pass rush, it doesn't matter who you have back there. The cornerbacks are going to get caught slipping. Budda Baker's not going to be able to cover Deebo Samuel the entire game. He's not going to be able to cover Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, or Tyler Lockett all game long. This team needs to add pressure. I'm not saying Haason Reddick is going to be Dwight Freeney 2.0 or Robert Mathis 2.0 or Aaron Donald 2.0. But what I am saying is that Haason Reddick fills a real need for the Arizona Cardinals. This isn't like the CeeDee Lamb thing that I do believe would be fun, but it is just kind of insane if we're just being honest, it is kind of insane to go after CeeDee Lamb and double and triple down on a position that you already have. Haason Reddick makes sense. Haason Reddick fits this team. He's played for Jonathan Gannon before. Monty Ossenford, we know, can construct a deal that is both favorable to Haason Reddick and to the Arizona Cardinals so that you're not crippling your contract and crippling your salary cap for years to come. You're not messing yourself up down the road to sign a Michael Wilson to an extension or sign a Trey McBride on an extension. That's not what you're doing. There is a perfectly capable way of making all sides happy and having $100 million in your bank account to spend. I've looked at next year's free agency market. There's not a lot of pass rushers as good as Haason Reddick there. So I believe it's just a match made in heaven. It's perfect for the Arizona Cardinals. I personally have numerously at times been the person that has said, no, I'm good on Matthew Judon, or no, I'm good on CeeDee Lamb because it just doesn't make sense, or no, I'm good on XYZ player. But Haason Reddick fits the Arizona Cardinals. He doesn't miss games. The Cardinals like players that don't miss any games. Hence the free agent signings they had this year. Be productive, be healthy. They want you on the team. Haason Reddick has missed one game his entire career. He's been entirely productive. He's worked well in Jonathan Gannon's system. He's familiar with the system. He's familiar with Arizona. He got his start here in Arizona. I trust in Monty Ossenfort to give him the right contract. And if you're asking me, a 3-year deal where he makes minimum $25 million and you skew that contract, either front load it or back load it so you're not crippling yourself in the future to sign other extensions that you want to do, I believe it makes sense. Sign him for his 29, 30, 31 years, the years of his age. That would make a lot of sense for the Arizona Cardinals. It's a match made in heaven, and with the loss of B.J. Ojulari, this is what the Cardinals need to do. We had a conversation on the air today. Are the Cardinals a player away from being Super Bowl contenders? No, they're not. But they're a player away from being relevant, from making the playoffs, from being a 7 seed, and taking that next leap as an organization like the Lions have done, like the Packers have done, and elevating yourself from being a team that's just trying to compete for a playoff spot to a team that is a solid playoff contender. And if you get to the playoffs because you added Haason Reddick, then you are able to then build the steps of being a competent organization for years to come. Because then next year you have playoff experience. You can add more players. You can see what is a weakness and what's a strength and work it out then. But I just believe rolling out the same team as last year, especially on the pass rush side of the ball, I think that's insanity. The Cardinals, I've watched it. I've not been impressed with what I've saw at training camp this year and in the preseason from the pass rush. I believe Haason Reddick is still a guy that you could take out of a game by double teaming. But still, you have to focal point your offense by double teaming him. I believe that's something that the Cardinals just need. And I don't think throwing premier pass rush money at a pass rusher is insanity. I do think that with a wide receiver. I do think that with a running back. I do think that with a safety. But in order to win games in the NFL, you have to be willing and be ready to get the other team's best player, and that is normally their quarterback. And with the ability to have, or with teams that have a pretty good left tackles in the NFC West, especially with the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers, you got to be ready to bring guys at them and put real pressure on those quarterbacks, especially for a defense last year that gave up a ton of yards through the air. What is one way to fix that? Make the quarterback a little less comfortable in the pocket. And for all those reasons, I'm all in on Haason Reddick to the Arizona Cardinals.